Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to see how we can create a dynamic task in Informatica Cloud. So, let's see where and all we can use the dynamic job. So, there will be a situation where we don't want to do much transformation, but simply dump the data into a target or multiple targets, or we will be getting data from multiple source. So, in that situation, we can use the dynamic mapping, and there will be a situation where we will be dealing with multiple data sources, and the structure will be different, like the data type and all those things will be different, but we just want to ingest the data into a data lake or a database. Even in that situation we can use the dynamic job. And during the development phase, like we will be having a set of tables where we need to load to some target for some different test case or scenarios. In that situation, just to simply dump the records quickly, we can use the dynamic job. So in this demo, we are going to see like I'm going to pull data from Cloud MySQL database, and I'm going to use the dynamic job in Informatica, and I'm going to load the data to BigQuery database. So let me show what are the tables that I'm going to pull from MySQL database. So I have like around 6 tables where I'm going to pull from MySQL database. So these 6 tables have different columns, and the data types also different. And so if you see, like, the transaction table has the more number of columns. Uh, so I'm going to pull all these 6 tables from MySQL, and then I'm going to load the data to MySQL BigQuery database. So as you can see, like, I have, this is my Informatica trial account. So here I have created a connection called Regu BigQuery, and here I have configured the BigQuery credentials, and here is the connection for that, and I'm showing the BigQuery. So this is the BigQuery where I have created a database called Regu. Here under database there is a schema called demo, and under the schema there are all those, I have those all those 6 tables. Uh, so like, if you are trying to create a connection in Informatica Cloud, you want to configure the uh, Google bucket as well. So here is the bucket. I have created a bucket called Regu, and I have created a folder called IICS. So inside this IICS, like, why we are using big uh, Google buckets is because it will be creating the metadata file in this particular bucket. So whenever it loads, it will just create a metadata file in this particular folder. And I have also created a service account, which will be like which is used to connect to BigQuery, and this is the service account that I'm using in this particular connection. So let's get started. So here I'm in my data integration tab, and I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to call it as demo dynamic. So if you are trying to create a dynamic job, there is a few things that we need to keep in mind. So the dynamic job will be using a single mapping template. So first we want to create a template, and on top of that template, we want to create the dynamic job. So the dynamic job, where we will be passing the values, and it will use that template to load the data into the target. So first I'm going to create a mapping template. So let me create a new mapping here, and I'm going to name it as m underscore dynamic mapping template. So this will act as a template file, and what we want to do here is we want to parameterize the source object and target object. So here I have the connection, and I'm going to create a new parameter for the connection. So it will be src underscore conn, and I'm going to use this source connection here. So there is something called a connection type. So for example, if you are like if you are going to use multiple source, then you can leave it as blank. But for example, if you're going to specifically pull data from a specific source, in this example, we are going to pull it from MySQL database. So in that scenarios, if you are sure you are going to only pull data from MySQL database, then in that case, you can explicitly select what will be the connection type. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. So here I'm going to choose MySQL and I'm going to click on OK. So I have created a source connection parameter. So same way we want to create a parameter for the target as well. Sorry, source object as well. So for that, I'm going to click on source type as parameter and I'm going to create a new parameter for this. So it will be source obj. So this will be the source object and I will click on OK. So now we have configured the source. Let's go to the target and let's create a target connection. So here target connection, again we want to create a new parameter for that. So it will be tgt src. So same way, if you are trying to load to multiple targets, in that case you can leave it blank. But if you're going to specifically load to a certain uh, target, then in that case, like you can explicitly select this connection type. So here I'm going to load to BigQuery. So I'm going to select Google BigQuery V2. So I'm going to click on OK. So we have created the target parameter, target connection parameter. So now we are going to create a parameter for the target type. So target type will be parameter again, and I'm going to create a new parameter. So this will be tgt underscore obj. So here we can select few things. For example, if you want to truncate the target table, because whenever we are using this dynamic, like uh, we will be mostly using for the full load. So in that scenarios, like we can select the truncate target table. In that case, like we won't mess up anything. So even there is an option to upsert as well. So if the record is already there, it will just update if there is any update from source. But if there is no update and if it is a new record, then it will simply insert the record. So it won't duplicate the records. But in this scenario, I'm not going to upsert the records. Instead, I will be just truncating the entire target table and I will be just inserting the records. So I have selected I have made all the configuration and I'm just going to save it. So now the mapping becomes valid, and so this particular mapping will act as a template. So now what we want to do is we want to create a dynamic job. So there are two ways. Either you can click on this three dots and click on new dynamic mapping task, or else again you can click on new, and so under task you will be able to see this dynamic job. Mm, okay. So here we have this dynamic mapping task. So either we can select this and click on create, or else even we can just click on this three dots and click on this new dynamic mapping task. So I'm going to click on this create new dynamic task. So this is the dynamic task. So here I'm going to name it as dy underscore okay, dy underscore dynamic dynamic test. So I have named it as a device dynamic test job, and the location will be demo dynamic. And I want to choose the runtime environment, so I don't have any uh, runtime environment that I hosted, but so I'm going to select the default Informatica Cloud hosted agent. So here, if you like click on the create, so here new, and when you create it, you want to manually select the mapping. But in our scenario, like what we did is we click on the three dots, and we just went and created this dynamic. So this particular dynamic mapping template so will be automatically selected here, and we will be able to see like what all are the things here in this particular mapping. So now we can go to next page. So here we have all the parameters that we created in the template. So again, here there are two things that we need to consider. One is this parameter scope. So when we click on the parameter source, there are two options. One is default and one is local. So when it is local, you will be able to configure it from the jobs. But when we click on the default, here we want to select what is that particular connection. So as you remember, like what I did is I explicitly gave when I was creating the parameter connection, I explicitly gave this particular source connection will be MySQL. So when you click on this parameter scope as default, so it will show only the connection related to MySQL. Okay. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to even if you don't want to configure anything here, and if you want to configure from the job level, even that is also fine. But here I'm going to okay, let's for the source I'm going to click on a default, and I'm going to select that connection. But let's keep the target connection as local, and let's configure it from the job. So so here I'm in job. So again, here we want to create groups. So from each group can have n number of jobs. So first thing we want to do here is like we want to create a group, and I'll let it be as by default like group one, and I'm going to create a new job here. So here you want to give the job name. So let me copy paste the. So the first job will be cash register transaction, and as we have already selected the default connection as MySQL underscore ABT. So this will be the connection, and I have okay. So now we want to select the source object. So let me search for the source object here. So this is the source object. So I have selected it, and now we want to select the target connection. So here we didn't give anything, we kept it as local. So from here, like we will be able to select the target connection. So again, the thing is, we have explicitly gave while creating the target connection parameter, we gave us Google BigQuery. So in that case, it will when you click on this drop down, it will show connection related to BigQuery. So we can't select any other connection. So if you want to select multiple connection, multiple target connection, and multiple source connection, then while creating the parameter, you want to leave it as blank, the source type. So now we want to select the target object. So I'm going to do that. So under demo, I had this cash register transaction. So I have this table cash register transaction. So I'm going to click on OK. So here another thing is you want to select the group. So I have created this group one. So I'm just going to click on group one. So now as you can see, we have created our first job. So what will happen in the background is when you trigger it, so these things will be replaced in that particular template mapping, and it will use this template mapping to load these records like from cash register transaction from this MySQL. It will fetch everything and it will load to the Google BigQuery table. So so this is how like we can create a job. So let me create job for other tables as well. So for that, I'm just going to click on this three dots and click on copy. So now let me copy the second table. So cash register and again copy. So the thing is like in a single page, it will allow us to create only 10 different jobs. So when you create the 11th job, it will go to the next page. So so you can also have like five tables, like you can trigger five tables in group one. So when you trigger it, right? So based on the group, it will just go and trigger it. So first, if we have group one, then it will trigger all the jobs inside the group one. Then once everything got completed, then only it will go to the group two if there is any group two. So that's how. So even if you configured to run 20 jobs in group one, then it will trigger all the 20 at once. So let me set the target here. Okay, so we are so this is the final table transactions. And okay, so I have graded all the jobs, and so all these six tables will come under group one. Okay, so what we can do is we can just split it. So the first three jobs will be in group one, and I'm going to create a new group here. So that will be group two. And instead of triggering all six at one group, what I will do is I will just change the rest of three in group two. Okay. So now we have configured everything. So here you might have noted or you might have some questions like, what if in the target, if the target object is not there, what we can do? As you can see here, we don't have any option when we click on it. Like we don't have any option which says create target at runtime. Create. Maybe I will create a next video where I will be explaining what if the target object is not there, what we can do in that situation. So for now, like I will be just clicking on next. And here, if you want to configure like failure notification or something like that, you can do it. So I'm just going to save it. Okay. So now it is valid. So let me just close it and open it again. Okay. So this is how the dynamic job look like. So here we have the parameters. So we explicitly selected the particular uh, source connection. So it's showing here. But for this, we have given us local. And so these are the different jobs. And these jobs will come under these different groups like group one and group two. And we will be able to see what are the objects here. So we have two different groups. So now I'm going to just click on run and let's see how it's running. So as I said, first it will just trigger the group one, and whatever jobs come under group one, it will trigger everything and it will start to run. So it has started the group one. So for the first three jobs are currently running. So it has started. So it won't start the rest tree unless it completed all the previous group. So that is another thing that we want to note here. Okay. So it has stopped, and we can also do a uh, we can also compare the count maybe. So if you want to see like here, like it is just showing the dynamic mapping template name. So if you want to see, okay, this particular dynamic mapping template used which parameters. So you can click on this, and here in the job payload, you will be able to see all this information like so what is the target object, so demo slash table transaction payment. So this particular dynamic mapping template used this particular parameter value transaction payments. So this is for source, sorry, this is for the target, and you will be see the source as well. So here we have the source. So the source name is transaction payment. Uh, yeah. So this is how we can do it. So it fetched 21775 records from the source MySQL, and it loaded all these records into the target. So as you can see, okay, one of the job failed. Uh, okay, so there is some column mismatch it seems. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So first it started with the first three, and then it started the group two. So group two we had three tables, and it loaded three tables. So another thing we want to note here is even for example here in group two our one of the table got failed. So the table name is okay, transaction cell lines. So here this particular for this table, like the mapping got failed. But if we have group three, so it won't stop the entire dynamic job. Instead, if it got failed, it will skip it and it will go to the group three. If we had any group three, it will go to the group three and it will keep on going. So even if any in any particular group, if any job got failed, it won't stop the entire dynamic job. So it will keep on going until the last group. So if we want to manually run, okay, let's for example, if we uh, uh, like if we made the necessary changes and if you are sure it won't fail again, then you can go to this particular dynamic job and you can click on edit, and the jobs in the jobs like what you can do is you can even let's say this particular thing is in group 2, so I don't want to run the group 1 again. So when you just deselect this group 1, and also in group 2 I don't want to trigger all the three. So if I want to just run the particular uh, this particular job alone, then you can just deselect everything, and you can just save it and run it. So in that case, it will run only for the transaction cell. Okay, I think it was a different table. So it will run only for this particular job alone. So it won't trigger all the dynamic jobs. Dynamic. Okay, it won't trigger all the other jobs. So we can save resource, or we again we don't want to dump the records into the target. So even if it is something like insert, we won't create duplicate. So This is how like we can create dynamic job. So if you had any questions, please put in the comment section. So yeah.